You know, I'd call my mom if something bad happened. Like I saw a dude get really, and it's not the because you don't really see the shit with that. And it's not the when they drag him into a cell because I almost feel like they make that happen themselves, except if it's real rough. But I watched Philly beat the shit out of this dude, and he was died, man. His teeth went everywhere, blood everywhere, and I was stuck out in it. So gross. And my cell was in the corner, and the teeth went up underneath of it. It was nasty. Yeah. That would be when I called my mom on. Called my mom when the dude got thrown over the top tier and he threw his metal locker on him.
You got a moment when they see you down, there's no they love and all that.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Bounce Back Podcast. I'm your host, B. Luke. I got a special guest with me today. So why don't you just tell the people your name, where you're from, and a little bit about yourself.
I'm Jason Daniel Brewer. I live in Gainesville, Virginia, and I'm from Northern Virginia.
Okay.
I started a podcast, ironically, for this same reason. It's called Freedom of the Mind Podcast, Jason Daniel Brewer. It's on YouTube, TikTok, I think even Instagram. But it was because I found that there was so many people like us, or for me, recidivism rate after doing that much time is 83%. On top of drugs and alcohol, that relapse rate is 75%. And I found that so many of us go through hell and then we come home and then we make it. I have friends that make it, and that's inspiring. I like to show stories like that, people that crawl out of hell and make something of themselves or just become content in life.
You know, two people could be in the same place, but some person could have started way back here as opposed to, some people have the head start, and that, that's the goal, if I, to have children and everything, give them the head start, but not everybody has that head start. So just talk a little bit about how long have you been out now? And then like, when did you formulate this idea of the podcast and everything?
I came home in 2014, and then I went back in 2016 for a year. So since 2017, how long is that? Almost, 8 years since I've been in. And then about a year and a half ago, my friend Enzo did a podcast with me, but he never aired it. And then a few months ago, he was like, hey, I'm going to put your podcast out. Is that okay? I mean, the interview that I did on his podcast, I was like, sure. Then all of a sudden, we got on Ian Big. Then we went down and we just did Matthew Cox. That one just dropped the other week. The Ian Big drops on Wednesday. And then a friend of mine, Joe, was like, your story is crazy. Submit it to Soft White Underbelly. And then I got on Soft White Underbelly, and I've been waiting to see you. So every time I've done one, people are like, you gotta do a podcast. You gotta do something. You're
right.
I'm not to sound pretentious, like, you're fire. You're just great. And people should see that you're just not all, just a terrible person that came out of prison. And it gives me something to do. I'm a project manager and I make money, but it's not fulfilling. This makes me feel good for the first time in my life, like I'm doing something.
Okay, so talk a little bit about the project manager side of things. What do you do?
Well, almost 8 years ago, I came home from jail and nobody wanted to give me a job. So this guy named Andy Joe knew Daniel at Roof Center. No, not Roof Center, but Allied Roofing Distribution Center. And I had done a little bit of roof maintenance packages for KPM, Home Improvement, and I was out selling the roof salesman. So he told Andy to give me a chance, but he does insurance work. And a storm hit, I signed up twice as many as everybody else, and it went from doing hailstorm work to disaster restoration. So if a house catches on fire, I go there while the fire department's there. I assist the homeowner in filing the claim. I have a cane Corso I take with me. She's a certified service dog for, I don't know how to describe it. She's a mental health service dog.
Oh, awesome.
So she will be pet, and if someone's nervous, she'll cuddle with them and love them. And I sign them up, and then we negotiate with the insurance company, and then we do the rebuild, and I make a percentage of that.
So talk about you said the service dog for mental health and everything like that. So is that something that are you addressing the mental health, and where does that come from? Does that come from doing all that time? Is it childhood trauma, all of the above?
Childhood trauma doing time, but we got this puppy, and I fell in love. I'd never had a dog, and we went and bought Lulu, and she is just, oh my God, it's the greatest thing I've ever had, besides my kids, sorry, and my granddaughter, and my soon-to-be granddaughter from Jacob. But I'd never had a puppy, and this thing loved me to death.
Awesome.
So then we applied to the psychiatrist, can we make this a service dog for mental health? And they were like, yes. So with a cane Corso, it's very important to get them socialized. So I took her to the job site, to the dog park. I go to AA meetings just about every day, or I used to every day, now about 5 times a week. And I'd always take her as a puppy. And now that she's 100 plus pounds. She just loves everything.
Okay, so how long you been in Boston now? You just got here? This is your first time to
I
Boston?
I love Boston, by the way. This place is trippy. I got on the plane this morning at Dulles Airport, and I got here about 10 o'clock. And I went straight, because I couldn't check in till 3, so I went to the casino. I played cards.
Nice.
I went, I bought in for 400. I left with 985.
Hey, good stuff.
And went to the hotel, dropped stuff off, and I was scared I was going to be late. Because I was like, oh shit, Boston traffic. And I was texting my mom, talking to my mom and texting with her. She's like, go early. Get there early because it's Boston. You're going to be late. So I got here and I was listening to these kids. It dawned on me, these kids are so much sharper than our kids. Not that our kids are slow, but these kids are like, no, you get on the Harvard. And they're like maybe junior high school. And they're in McDonald's and they're talking about, no, you got to get on the Harvard and take bus 12 and the Metro here. And I was like, what?
Inbound, outbound, and all that stuff. Yep.
Yeah, they do all of that. I was like, huh? Dude, I don't know. I barely could get on and off a plane today. These kids know everything around here. I thought they were really sharp. Awesome. And everybody I've met has been super cool. I had an idea that they're going to see me and be like, oh, he's a country boy. We're going to give him shit. Because I only watch like Bruins games and Madison Square Garden, the Patriots. So I think people are all really rough and mean, but everybody's been very cool since I've been here.
Well, you got it. It's a different environment when you get into the sports world, right? People are very passionate about our sports out here. Man.
As you guys deserve to be. You guys are winners up here. I'm a Redskins fan, man.
Okay.
And a Buffalo Bills fan. I love Josh Allen. That dude's a beast.
Hey, Buffalo's doing their thing now. Yeah. Patriots kind of got to take a step back, but we still got the Celtics defending champs and everything right now. Bruins, Red Sox, it's definitely the historic teams, a lot of passion. And, we got some titles these last 25 years or so.
I didn't know Boston or MIT were around here. I passed MIT on the way to your studio.
Yep.
And then the kids were talking about Harvard. I had to call someone and say, is Harvard near here?
Absolutely.
Yeah, this place is cool.
Where we're at right now is pretty much directly in the middle of MIT and Harvard. Boston's right on the other side of the river, so pretty much Cambridge, where we're at now, is just north of Boston. But up here, I feel like it was settled in so early, the cities are smaller, right? You know what I mean? Even the state itself, because I went down south just going from like Florida to Texas once, and I swear we were in like Alabama forever or whatever, man. Or I-10, whatever it was.
Right.
And so yeah, it's all we like to call it the greater Boston area. It's all similar, but every city has its own little culture and everything like that. So let's bring it back. Let's talk about where you grew up. You said Gainesville, Virginia.
That's where I live now. I was born in this really small town. The only thing it's known for is the apple blossom parade. It's called Winchester, Virginia.
Okay. I
was born there, and because I've grown up, I've learned a lot of things. By the time I was 6 months old, my one grandfather killed a man and killed himself. I didn't know about any of that. I heard about it older in life, but I did all the research recently, and I had known that my grandfather came home from World War II, a POW, and crazy. He ravaged his female children and beat the hell out of Uncle Ray. And I guess my mom had kids early to get away from that. You know what I mean? But he ended up killing a man, killing himself. I know my grandmother hid in out in the cornfield because it was country. It's real country out there. But I didn't know. I don't remember much about Winchester at all. The next memory I had is like I'm 3 years old and we're in St. Augustine, Florida.
Okay. Oh, Florida.
And Grandma had met Grandpa. So I always thought Grandpa Cruz was my grandpa until I got older. They were never married. That was just the love of her life. And we lived in St. Augustine from about 3 to almost 6, and then we went to Manassas, Virginia.
So you lived with your grandparents, or?
My mom lived with my dad.
Okay.
My dad was a hardcore drinker, hardcore beater of the women, and my mom didn't want that. Wow. So she took off to St. Augustine to be with my grandmother. So she took her 3 kids herself to this little tiny house on Solana Drive, and we just stayed there for a couple years. Was
that anything that any of you kids had to see with your father being okay?
Too young to remember, but I know that my dad was heavy-handed. Because I saw it later in life. Like when we came back to Virginia, my dad stayed in Winchester. Whenever I go visit my dad, he was funny because he's quiet. He had great hair, but once he got drunk, it was nothing to beat the hell out of Debbie. He never hit us. I think he was scared of hitting us. I mean, he whooped me with a belt one time, but he'd beat up, like, say, Aunt Jackie or Aunt Bessie, which are his sisters' boyfriends had done something. All of a sudden, it would just get quiet, and there'd be this explosion, and Dad would just be fucking somebody, or excuse me, messing somebody up. but I didn't want to not be able to go see Dad, so I never told Mom. So, you know, I don't know.
You ever, I mean, probably not so much as a kid, but maybe looking back, do you ever see like the effect that might have had on your mom and how she carried herself and just like
My mom
her
was
mental
only
health?
5'4", and I'm one of the smaller kids. My older Brian's 6'4". He looks like Duck Dynasty. He's hysterical.
yeah.
And everybody thought, because my mom was so young, I had him at 16, they always thought that my brother was my mom's boyfriend. My mom was very quick to put people in their place, and she takes no shit. If a man even raises her voice, it's over. You know, she won't go through that shit again. I remember my stepdad slapped her one time because she was calling him a coward. That was it. That was the end of their marriage. He just slapped her. That was it. I think she had more trauma from her childhood. She didn't trust men. And for good reason with the grandfather or the father she had.
Absolutely. And you said she was a young mother when?
Yeah, she had Bri at 16, me at 19, and Travi at 21.
Okay.
Yeah, so she had us all very early. So Brian's dad is still alive. My dad, Travi's dad, which are the same dad, are dead. You know, and then my stepdad Joe died a few years ago, but they weren't together anymore.
Was your mom working most of the time to support you
my
guys?
mom-
Or how did that work?
She always worked. My mom is a very strong woman. All I heard growing up was, you guys don't know what it's like trying to raise 3 boys on a $10,000 a year salary. You just don't know. So she was a receptionist at a car dealership, and she met Joe. Joe was the general manager. So they ended up getting married. When they got married, Joe put her through school. So my mom, with a high school diploma, I guess she got after us, went to real estate school, and then property management. She became a property manager and got herself away. She didn't need anybody.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what she liked.
Was
She's
that
very
something
strong.
that was inspirational to you, or at the
Yeah,
time
when
were
I
you
got
too young?
older, yeah, for sure. I was such a asshole of a kid. I didn't think about it. I just knew that my mom always provided. Like, we didn't have shit growing up. We were dirt poor. We bought our shoes out of a bin at the supermarket, which I thought all kids did that. I didn't know that we were poor until I got older and people were rocking some fresh kicks. And I got a pair of Adidas when I was like 12 years old. I thought I was the shit. I had the fat laces that were black and fluorescent green. Oh man, I couldn't wait to floss those. I thought I was cool as hell.
Yeah.
And so that was a big deal, being able to buy shoes for the first time.
Yeah, when you're young, it's like the status quo. You don't know what you don't know. Even with trauma, like sometimes we don't realize things are traumatic till it's like you get older and you're like, oh, maybe this wasn't normal how I grew up at home and everything like that. So
yeah, no other kids, like my uncles and my dad would get drunk. We'd be in a cab, like if Dad beat up Debbie, we might be in a hunting cabin in West Virginia, or we'd certainly be in the trailer park in like West Virginia or Winchester. But my uncle, like, they're not really mine. They're my uncles by marriage. But they start flicking knives, and even my aunts and shit were like, not in front of the kids, because we have like space heater, kerosene heaters. I don't know. It was. I thought it was kind of cool, but you know, other kids, so the kids in Fairfax, like, what the hell are you talking about?
They must thought you were crazy.
Like, you go over to a friend's house, and we're very affectionate, my mom, because we didn't have shit, but we would hug and kiss, and I love you, Mom, and we were very, very close like that. And I go to my friend's house, and they're like, or they would actually be at my house, and they'd see us say goodbye to each other. Like, you kissed your mom?
Yeah.
So I might tell my mom I love her on Christmas. I'm like, what the hell? What is that?
Yeah,
But
my family was kind of the opposite. We weren't very affectionate with each other. So do you think that was a positive?
Yeah, I love that we were affectionate.
Yeah.
Like, because Mom's side, very affectionate. We didn't have shit, but we ended up getting shit. So I'm not shitting on my mom at all. My mom was a beast. I love her.
Absolutely.
We didn't have a lot, but we had love and affection.
Yeah.
And we had each other. We were very tight. On my dad's side, it was verbal abuse, distant, cold, very little affection. But I loved what he would do. He'd get me up at 4 a.m. and say, we're going hunting. But we didn't go hunt. We go to this. I've described it before, and I don't know how to really describe it, because it looks like a trailer inside, on the outside, but it's inside of a mountain. And when you open up the door, you just see men smoking cigarettes, head down, whiskey. But I like to go with him because I could drink the little sodas, the 8-ounce Cokes back in the 70s. I would drink those. And that was cool. And he let me sit on his lap and drive. But he wasn't much for I love you or affection, anything like that.
What's that relationship like now?
Oh, he died when I hadn't talked to my dad since I was 12. He died when I was 15.
Oh, okay. Condolences.
Yeah, I miss it. It's funny, I still dream about him. It's weird because some shit happened in Manassas when I was 6. And, you know, some sexual shit happened, and it finally came out with my dad. Because I didn't say shit. You know, I was too ashamed, and it was just too embarrassing. But it finally came out. So I was 12 years, by this time I'm 12, and I had a big fight with my mom. I was like, I'm going to live with Dad.
Yeah.
But the whole time with Dad, it was a lot of sissy boy and fag
Yeah,
and
yeah.
shit like that. And after about a month of that, the code was, my mom, when she dropped me off with him, was, if it gets too rough there, just tell Travie when he comes to visit, and Mommy will come get you. So my brother came to visit, and I told him, tell Mom I'm ready.
Okay.
And it's funny because we got back to the trailer that night, and the phone rang, and Dad picked it up, says, okay, and hung up, said,
Yeah. Wow.
you get your wish, boy.
Yeah.
He didn't speak for me the rest of the week, and then he dropped me off with my mom. He said, don't ever ask me for anything again. And not only did he take it out on me, he took it out on my little brother Travis, his other son.
Yeah.
And he never spoke to us again, and then he had a car accident when I was 15.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Damn. So, I know this might be tough to speak on. Was this like a female, a male? Was this somebody
it was
that
a
was
male. It was a male
family
guy.
member? I mean, you don't have to throw anybody
No,
under the bus, but
I don't
those
even
people
remember
were
his
kinda,
name. I was
Yeah.
6. I had stolen a silver dollar from my cousin. I went to this little Italian restaurant that had a video game, Asteroids. And I played. He said, the bums. Like, it took me like 2 minutes to play 4 quarters. And he's like, bums over there pass out with dollars. You want to go? And I was like, sure.
Yeah.
And there was no bums over there.
Yeah.
So, and that persisted for a little bit because part of it is when he was finished, he took me up because in Manassas they had like these oil. It looked like an oil refinery to me, but I don't know. It was big and white. There was a bunch of sludge at the bottom of it. He's like, I'll fucking throw you in there. I'll kill you if you say anything. And there was another incident. And shit happened, but I don't know. I know I was terrified when it happened, and it was weird because when Mom asked us, is it okay to marry Joe, and we're going to get out of there, that was like the best part ever.
Yeah.
When we left Manassas was to go, like I drove by, I knew where his house was, and we were free. I feel like me and somebody else were very free at this point.
Well, I think it's very brave to speak upon that, man. You didn't have to speak upon that, and I think it is important. I mean, do you feel the same way that it is important? I feel like that happens a lot more, and it's not, especially with men, it's not spoken about enough.
Yeah.
So
Because
why
that's
is
what
it
you hear.
important
That
to speak
doesn't
about?
happen to little boys. And I was made to think, or I told myself, this is shameful. I'm the dirty one. I feel like I was the coward because I couldn't stand up. And it affected me in the sense that I became more and more violent over time.
Yeah.
Like
I can imagine.
after that, I was quicker I was more prone to violence.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want anybody touching me. I still don't like people standing
Yeah.
behind me. And that's part of prison too. I didn't, there was no fucking behind me.
Now I refuse to be victimized. You know what I mean? I could get that. What advice would you have for, maybe a young boy or girl, young man or woman who went through that? Talk to somebody.
Talk to someone. Talk about it a lot. Because I used to not even be able to talk about it without crying. I would just break down because there's so much shame and guilt. I felt dirty.
Yeah.
Talk about it. Find someone you trust and talk about it. Get that shit out because it's not your fault.
Exactly.
You played no part in it, and you're not going to find forgiveness with yourself or whoever you got to find forgiveness with until you get rid of it. It's an awful thing for kids to endure that shit.
Yeah.
It's actually, it's weird because I have 2 feelings about it. One, it's like, fuck those fucking sick fucks. But then on the way, I have to like find peace with it.
Exactly.
And I don't want kids to feel what I felt because it's awful. And I can almost spot it now.
Yeah.
Girls and boys that are real apologetic, kind of shy, and if you're like, hey, because most kids be like, what's up? What's up back?
Yeah.
And, but something like, oh, I'm sorry. And they
Something
space
ain't right.
out, and I always start going, I wonder.
Yeah.
I wish, I don't know how to protect them, but I would say, talk, get it out if it's happening to you now. You see this, run and tell someone.
Yeah. So you think that played a big role on the trajectory of where your life ended up going down? Maybe your behavior, or like you said, it became more violent? I mean,
yeah. I think as I got older, because I always felt like I didn't belong anywhere.
Yeah.
I couldn't maintain friendships. I had friends, of course, but I wasn't a good friend, let's say. I didn't know how to maintain any type of real relationship, and I didn't know how to voice any pain.
Yeah.
So I only knew how to react. So my friendships grew smaller and smaller. But then there was like, I had relief. I had met Molly Barnes. She was 18. She gave her, like, she took my, whatever. She got my virginity in a sense, and it was cool. And so I was 15. She was 18. She was an Ole Miss student. I was working at Army Navy Country Club. I hadn't been in any trouble. Everything was good. I was madly in love. And at the end of that summer is when my dad died. And something just broke inside my head after that.
Damn. So before we get into the high school years, just talk a little bit about how you were as a student growing up. Like, how did you take to the academic work and behavior-wise?
It's funny. I was up until second grade till it happened. I was a great student. I was really good at math. I have great memories still to this day. But after the incident, I couldn't concentrate anymore. I was always staring off in class. It's weird because it comes into play later on. I would just daydream about something else. I'd be somewhere else most of the time.
Okay, so
And
instead
my
of
academia
obsessing
really
about it,
fell.
you're trying to get distracted by other stuff? Or?
Yeah, I just would stare off. I would just daydream and be someplace else. Like I didn't feel comfortable anymore in my own skin is the best way to put it. I always felt dirty. I always felt gross.
Did you start getting in trouble, like behavior-wise in class as well?
I
Did
would
you
have
start acting
blackouts.
out?
Yeah, elementary school blackouts. Like any kind of challenging, I just punch. Or I remember a girl was teasing me. And I was sitting in the office, and I just remember started rocking. Next thing I was blacked out, and the teachers are pulling me off her. I'm choking her, with my brothers too. I couldn't, you know, I didn't know how to deal with confrontation at all. So I get real scared, and my brain would be like, do it, and then the next thing I know, I'm somewhere else, and I've done it.
Yeah.
Like especially if someone was like right there, I'd be like, yeah, and then boom.
So are you getting like detention, suspended? You getting kicked out of
Suspended,
school?
kicked out.
Okay, so do you end up like?
I went to alternative schools.
Yeah, I was gonna ask. You get kicked out, you go to alternative schools.
I
What
finished-
grades you do in the alternative schools?
7th, 8th, and I didn't pass 9th grade.
Okay.
Yeah, so like I got through Layton Hall Elementary, which is, you know, kindergarten through 6th, but I got there like 3rd grade. So I finished up 6th, and then I started going to, my mom was shopping me at schools. I didn't last long, but I ended up at Burke Center.
Okay.
Burke Center Junior High. It's a, you know, alternative school for people with emotionally disturbed kids or learning disabilities, kids that act out. And then I went 1 year at Cedar Lane, which is in Fairfax as well. And I didn't make it after that.
What happened?
I was 15. My dad had died, and I ended up catching a malicious wounding on this long-haired kid for picking on baby Boz. But it was dropped down to simple assault. But
Was
they put me
this
on
at
probation.
school, outside of school?
No, it was at a McDonald's after a football game.
Okay.
And these kids were from Oakton, and Baby Boz's mom died of cancer. So there was me and my little brother who was 18 months younger, and Baby Boz was like a year younger than my brother, but he was like tiny. Like not just tiny for his age, I mean tiny in general. I don't think he ever got above 5'2". But he was Baby Boz because he had the Brian Bosworth haircut. I don't know if you're old enough.
The football player?
Yeah. So we called him Baby Boz. And I don't even know what his real name is, Baby Boz.
That's wild.
And
You don't know
so they were
someone's real
picking on him, and I saw it, and I snapped out.
Okay.
Like, there was not a time, you can't tell now, my hands deformed as shit. I always kept a
Always
cast on.
scrapping?
Always quick to punch someone, always. And I just didn't function well in school. My mom just kind of gave up. Because I'd run down, Molly ended up leaving Ole Miss to go to ODU to be closer. So if I was in trouble or got hammered, whatever I wanted to do, I just run down there for a week or two and come back, and it just progressively got worse.
What about your other brothers? Are they getting in trouble and stuff?
Hell no. My older brother went to West Virginia on a scholarship, and then he got drafted by Boston.
Oh,
real late rounds, because he was 3 years older. So by the time I was 15,
What sport? I'm sorry.
baseball. Boston
okay,
Red Sox.
yeah.
He got drafted, and he went down to Kissimmee, Florida, and tried out. Wow. He had a good bat, but too slow. He had I forget what he did to his knee, but he was real
Messed up
slow
his
out of the
knee?
box. It's funny because they time everything from home to first, all that.
With this fight at McDonald's, how old are you? Is this a juvenile case?
15. I was getting ready to turn 16.
Okay.
And yeah, so they charged me as a juvenile. Later on in life, at 17, when I got my second one, they certified me as an adult.
Yeah.
And I went from JDC, Juvenile Detention Center, to ADC.
Okay.
I lost in trial. People can look it up. Teenage Youth, Jason Daniel Brewer. It's in the Washington Post, which is a big paper where I'm from. So I guess you guys got like the Boston Herald.
Yeah, we got Boston Herald, Boston Globe. I mean, everything's online now anyway. I don't know how many people really read the newspapers. So you get this charge as a juvenile, and then what happens? Immediately you go, you get locked up, or
When I was
do you bail out
15,
and you get
no,
probation and then mess
bunch
up
of-
on probation? Like I feel like my story is like that, you know, probation. I bet I was given a million chances. I'm not gonna lie. You know what I'm saying? Like I didn't just catch one and it was a bad one.
No.
Like I was given chances.
Man,
was
I
that
got
your story?
so many probation violations that finally at 17 they were like, That's it.
Okay.
We're going to give you a suspended sentence to Beaumont, which is a juvenile prison, like state prison for kids.
Yeah.
Not the JDC, not the little detention center, but it's downstate. And we're going to suspend it, but if you catch one more charge, that's your sentence. So my mom shipped me off down to Florida to live with my grandparents by myself.
Oh.
And it was funny because we were in St. Augustine, and then they lived on Cruise Land, Lake Delancey. It's in Ocala Forest. It's in Palatka. Man, even to get back to where they live, you had to drive on sand roads. But the sand 3 miles back on sand roads, but you had to stay inside the grooves or you get stuck. I still found a way to get in trouble.
Yeah, so what happens? They transfer your probation. Now you get in trouble. What do? They send you back to originally to do your time out there, or does Florida take
they
over?
released me from probation, so my mom sent me down there. So they released me from probation with a suspended sentence to Beaumont, and my mom sent me down there till I turned 18 because that's when it would be over.
So did you not violate the suspended sentence?
No.
Okay.
Well, kinda, eventually.
Okay.
Because I went to Florida, but I was too much for my grandparents to handle. I was drinking all the time. I was taking the boat out on the Alligator Island. I was just being a mess. I brought a girl down. Molly Barnes came to visit me, and I was a real asshole to her. Yeah. So when 4th of July came around, my mom took me back. My mom came down with my little brother, then we went back to Fairfax, Virginia, and I immediately, like within 2 weeks, caught a malicious wounding on George Reyes.
And was that an adult case?
Yeah, well, they certified me, maybe an adult.
But did that violate your juvenile probation?
That's what I was worried about. That's what I was more worried about. That's crazy because I was more worried about, shit, they're going to send me down to Beaumont when they were like, nah, you're an adult
Let the
now.
adult system deal with you?
Yeah, they let the adult system deal with me. So they, juvenile time's done because you're an adult now. And they sent me over on my 18th birthday to
So at any
ADC.
point, did you have to be in a juvenile detention center?
Yeah, I went until I turned 18.
Okay.
I got arrested September 20th. My birthday's November 12th, so I stayed there for about a month and a half, 2 months at most.
Okay, so just talk about that experience. You know what I mean? The first time they lock those doors behind you and you spend the night.
Oh, I've been down in juvenile for like 2 or 3 weeks. Juvenile was nothing because I'd flip out. Mm-hmm. They liked me because most of the staff is black there. Most of the white kids are soft. And I was not like that. They liked me. Yeah. I remember Timmy, Counselor Timmy. Mm-hmm. I got to give you the EBT, kid. I'd be like, all right. Yeah. EBT, early bedtime.
Yeah, that's funny because we had the same EBT, LOP, loss of privileges. That's crazy that it's the same terminology down there as it is up here. That's funny.
And I didn't like it at first, but juvenile wasn't. Then you played ping pong. We watched Rap City.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But you said a lot of the white kids was soft. So was that something that, like, just being a white dude, that people try to press you, or maybe just check your temperature to see where you're at a little bit?
Because I didn't know anything. I didn't know you didn't cross over no dude's plate. Like, I put my arm over, I reached for something and went over a dude's juice, man. I thought he was going to kill me. I was like, what the hell was that?
Yeah.
Spit in the toilet, not in the sink, when you brush your teeth and shit. But when I was in juvie the second time, I was in there for beating up YT, and nobody, like, on Route 1, and they didn't like YT, so they thought I was cool.
Okay.
Yeah, I got them.
So sometimes, the juvenile experience, we make the most of it. It is what it is. And it's I feel like it's new, it's fresh, you know what I mean? A bunch of kids, and, you make the most of it, right? Yeah. And then you might not have learned your lesson enough because obviously now you have the adult case.
Right.
So talk about that. What happens? You said you lost that at trial?
Yeah. So
I'm sorry, before you start though. Did you have to go to trial from jail, or were you able to make a bail?
No, never made bail.
Okay, so
because we were below middle class. I couldn't make my two co-defendants. They made bond, but my bond was $10,000. My mom was like, I don't have $1,000 to give away. Mm-hmm. So, and I had a quarter point at Pretender. That was awful.
Yeah.
Louis M. Shoshos. I don't even think he practices. I don't know.
So you're sitting in adult jail now, waiting trial.
That was crazy because I had just ripped my ankle up playing basketball. There was two white dudes, Marcus Fawcett, and I forget the other kid's name. Marcus Fawcett had a murder charge. Wow. And he got certified. We both went over, but we were playing basketball, and I went up for a shot. And when I came down, I just destroyed my ankle. So when I went to jail, I had this grapefruit for an ankle. It looked like a country ham. And everybody was so freaking nervous. I was really annoyed when I went to prison because all the nervous laughter, because you go from, they put me in R18 as a joke because I was 18, receiving cell. Then you go to the DT cells, and that's where everybody was noisy, and I was getting worked up. But I was kind of scared. My mom was coming to see me. Yo, he lost an eye. They put it back in. Oh, you're looking at 20 years. I was like, 5 to 20 for this? This was a fight at a party. What the hell are you talking about? So I had lied to her and said I didn't do it, and so I kind of had to go to trial. Mm-hmm. And when I went to trial, that was stressful.
So he was like, I'd rather face that judge than face my mom.
Yeah. My mom was worked up, and I was scared of her. And I was scared that she'd be disappointed more than her beating on me.
No.
I was scared that she'd be like, you know.
You didn't want to break her heart, man.
Yeah.
I hear you.
And I could have took the unlawful wounding like my two co-defendants.
Okay, so what did they offer for a plea and anything
What?
like that?
1 year. I could have took 1 year.
1 year.
And I would have been out in 90 days. I probably would have had time served. And I didn't know any of this then. Mm-hmm. I just said, no, I didn't do it. Let's go to trial. Because I didn't think I could be convicted. Mm-hmm. And I was wrong.
So yeah, talk about that. Now you're getting close to trial. Like, what's your lawyer saying? What's your confidence level at? What are you thinking?
Well, I thought because that these guys were also on trial for guys they hurt during the party, that there was no way because we were supposed to be tough. Mm-hmm. I didn't think anybody was going to show up and actually testify. They did. They lined up.
Yeah.
They lined up for days to testify on me. I thought I did pretty well in trial. And I didn't think I would get 20 years, but because I knew I was going to be found guilty, I took a judge trial over a jury trial. So when I was found guilty and he gave me 5 years, I thought I was getting 5 years, but then 2.5 were suspended. Yeah. So I ended up doing 12 months in 1 day.
Okay. So were these people that, like, at the party, I mean, sometimes you go to parties, you know people, sometimes you may not know people, but they're tough enough to fight. I mean, what were you thinking when all these people started telling, like, that tough guy thing's a facade? Like,
it is a facade, because these guys were called the YTs, young terrorists, and they throw up the YT sign, and that they were known to go to parties and break them up. Mm-hmm. But they were high school kids. I'm a high school kid, but they were high school kids. I ran with dudes that were not high school kids that looked like you. You know what I mean? Big, strong, thuggish. We grew up poor and rumbling through life. These were just rich kids that like to break up parties. They're not rich, but middle class. And so we were waiting for them. We had bats lined up at the door. We were trained to go. Mm-hmm. The crazy thing is, I talked about it the other day. I was with Matt Saunders. We were talking to a girl, and I had smoked some weed, and I didn't want to fight. I wasn't even thinking about fighting. I went there pumped up, and I was like, shit, they're not coming to this party. Look at these animals in here. So me and Matt were talking to this girl, two girls, but the one girl was with me, like kicking it with me, and I smoked, and I was no longer focusing on fighting. I was thinking, how am I going to get this boy? I'm not going to hook up with this chick. I don't mean to talk like that. And all of a sudden, somebody ran in and said, yo, Baby Brewer's outside. Baby Brewer's outside, which means my little brother was outside. Mm-hmm. And so I shot out, and when I ran up, I saw George Reyes with a brick in his hand, and my little brother, let's say you're George Reyes, and right there's Travis. And I had brass knuckles in my back pocket, and I hit him with the brass knuckles, and that hurt like a son of a bitch. Mm-hmm. And when he went down, my little brother had a cane. I got his attention. I took the cane from him and beat his eye out of his head.
Oh, damn.
And I'm so stupid. I was sitting there going, I wanted him to know it was me. Yeah. Because I clipped him from the back. I wanted him to know I'm the one beating you with this cane. So I was saying, this is Jason Brewer. Mm-hmm. I'm doing this to you. And I kept hitting him with the cane.
I'm sure that must have backfired at trial. They knew.
No shit. And because three of the witnesses on the other side was like, how do you know it's him? Because he was yelling his name.
That's so funny. I remember once at one of my cases where I'm reading my own paperwork. I was like blackout drunk. And they were like, what? They're like, what did he say? They're like, he just said East Cambridge. Like, that's my neighborhood, East Cambridge. Right?
Okay.
He was screaming East Cambridge. I'm like, oh my God, what's wrong? The things we do when we're young and drunk, I guess, man. So.
God damn, I like to take some of those days back.
Yeah, but we learn from it. We're here now to talk about it, and hopefully, people can avoid, especially the youth out there, man. Yeah. It's not that life of crime, man. It's not it. It never was, but definitely not it anymore. It's too much technology. Everybody could just record you, evidence. Cameras everywhere, man, and the whole tough guy thing, it's mostly a facade. You got a few people that will stay. I mean, you've been in prison, that they'll stand tall, they'll do time. People do 30 years for something they didn't commit, but for the most part, the people, they're not gonna hold water, when it comes down.
I learned that later in life too. Yeah. I went to prison, I made sure that there was nothing on me that you could ever say I told. But man, I got to prison and dude was going to lose his signal cell. He'd tell on this guy over here. Oh, he's a lifer. He's been down 30 years. Killer.
Crazy.
I'll tell on anybody to keep my signal cell. So it's not what I thought it was.
Yeah. So you get this sentence, right? Mm-hmm. 5 years. You do 2.5 on it. Is that a parole? How does it work?
I had a 5-year sentence and the judge suspended 2.5. So on 2.5 years, it's old law. So the first year is 90 days, and the second year was 9 months. Or the combined 9 months. So I did 12 years in 1 day, mandatoried out. So when I was released, I had probation and I had parole.
Well, you say you did 12 years. 12 years?
No, 12 months. When I was
Okay,
older,
okay,
at
okay.
25,
Yeah, you
I got
did
the
the later
15.
one. Okay, yeah.
When I was 17 and got certified, I got 5-year sentence, 2.5 suspended. I did 12 months.
So is this a state prison thing?
No,
How
I
does it
never
work
went
in
to
different
state. I
states?
stayed for the juvenile shit. I stayed in Fairfax Adult Detention Center.
Okay.
So I spent, I went there in November, I got out in September, so I spent 10.5 months in the jail.
So explain that to me. So it's like a juvenile, but still adult. So what is it, like a 26? Like, I know they just started some new stuff here in Massachusetts where it's like a 24 and under. You're still an adult, but you're with people of your same age. They don't.
No, in Fairfax, there's JDC, the Juvenile Detention Center here, and then you go across, and there's a whole network completely kept separate. And whenever there is a juvenile there, like, say someone like the certified, they put them on the A floor. So once they certified me as an adult, they moved me over to the jail. So once I was an adult, so I did time with adults.
Yeah.
But old law was nothing. Like they changed the law in '95.
Yeah.
To 91%. You can earn up to 85%, but it was nothing.
Yeah,
It
they had some similar in Massachusetts.
Yeah.
Old law conquered sentences and stuff like that. They used to call them where you'd get like a 10-year sentence, but you do whatever 2 or something.
2 or 3, you make parole and come on
Yeah,
out.
and then you just have a long parole or whatever.
Yeah,
I
then
think
they
my
changed it.
father was like sentenced under old law back in the day. So, all right, so you get out. Now you still have this 2.5 suspended. Okay, so like,
I just kept getting in trouble.
Okay.
Probation violation.
what was your
30
mindset like before you wrap up? Are you developing a plan, right? Are you getting home? Do you have the idea of wanting to do the right thing, or are
Man,
you
I
kind of
was-
just living that life like
No.
this is just part of what comes with the life of living jail?
No, I wanted to be a good kid. I came
Okay.
home. I got a job. I was being good, but they gave me. They didn't give me. I received a outpatient drug treatment, and I was going in there. And the only thing I had smoked a little weed, did a little shrooms and acid, and I drank a little bit, but it wasn't crazy yet. And all these older dudes were talking about smoking crack and heroin. So I was like, I said, I raised my hand. I was like, I want to try that crack. They're like,
Let's see what
"Are
the
you-"
hype's about.
Yeah, man, that was a mistake.
What a twisted way of thinking, though, huh?
Right.
Like, where do you think that way of thinking comes from?
I don't know. I wanted to feel anything but how I felt. I didn't think I had much promise. Like my brother was graduating, my other brother was in college, my mom was doing well. I was like the black sheep.
Yeah. Well, being in jail too, I remember these people. They were calling like war stories almost, and it was like they would tell these stories about, the H or the crack, and like they would make it seem almost like cool, like they had
Yeah.
someone. They're not telling you about how they lost their car, they lost their girl. You know what I mean? They leave that part out, so I could see how somebody would get caught up and want to be like, let me see what the hype's about. I mean, plus if you're feeling these feelings you don't want to feel, there's only so much the weed's gonna do and all that as well. So does that become like an issue for you?
Oh
the
yeah, almost
substances?
immediately. Because I kept getting in trouble. I kept getting the probation violations, and I had this girlfriend story, and I had a probation. It's funny because I just go in and piss in it. Back then, you pissed in the cup and you left, and they call you back a few days later and say, "Hey, you need to come in." And I'm like, "Tag, you're it. When you catch me, you catch me." And it'd been a couple of years. I tried to jump out of a 2-story window to get away from the police.
Talk about that. Like, what did they come to get you on a PV?
Yeah, they had a.
Was this your house?
No, it was with my girlfriend's story.
Okay.
And she had a townhouse she shared with some girlfriends, and I was over there, and the girlfriend knew I had a probation warrant out. I guess Story had told her. So she left. Me and Story go upstairs, we make love, and all of a sudden, that knock. Boom, 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 boom. And Story's like, I gotta check the door. I said, don't check that door.
Wow.
I said, that's the cops. She's like, I gotta check the door. And I'm naked. I'm laying in bed with her naked, so I go into the other room, hide in the closet. And they're like, we understand that Jason Brewer's on premises. We got to check the house, and she let him in. I was shocked. And they came up and found me in the closet, but I was naked. I'm 19. I'm skinny, man. I'm like 6'1.5", but because I'm smoking that shit, I'm like 160 pounds. And I was like, hey, let me get dressed. There's female cops, male cops. They're like, go ahead. They told Story to give me my clothes, so I put on my boxer shorts. I don't wear boxer shorts anymore. I put on my Gap Relaxed Fit. Put on my Gap shirt, and I'm looking at this window. This
Plotting
window.
on it.
Yeah, and I put on my 1 Tim, and I'm looking. I make up my mind like I'm jumping through the window. They're not gonna be able to catch me. I'll get through the window. I'm not thinking about the 2-story fall, and I'll just shoot off. And when I put the second Tim on, I didn't even tie it. I just put it on and went and jumped. But windows are double paned. I didn't think about that. So
It wasn't even an open window.
No, it was snowing out.
You went through the glass window.
Yeah, I went through the glass window.
Oh
but I didn't
my
make
God.
it out. So it went, So half of me sitting out, and I'm trying to push myself out, and they're grabbing me.
Oh my God.
So my shirt's up, and I see this shard of glass. I'm like, I'm gonna fall in the glass. It didn't do anything. and I'm fighting my way, and all of a sudden this hand comes out, and the mace goes off. Like, and it was weird because I went. And I'm talking, man, this cop is choking me to death, and I finally can breathe a little bit because Story's yelling. And I go, fuck punks like you in prison. Never been to prison.
Right.
And man, he put the death choke from hell on me.
Oh man.
And finally they let me go, and they took me to jail. I got 2 years for that. I got a year for probation violation and a year for attempted escape.
Okay, so what was this bid like? Pretty much similar to the first, or did you start doing?
The first one, there was no big shit. I went to the body one time. I never had any arguments.
The body is that's the box, the hole.
No, going to the
mean by
body
that?
is if
What does that
you and
mean?
I are beefing, instead of punching each other in the
Okay,
face, we
body
go in the
shots.
cell and just do body shots.
Okay.
It's like boxing, hit each other in the arm, the ribs, whatever,
Yep.
legs. But this time, when I did the 2 years, when I got my lip bitten off fighting over the phone, and when I was 19, that's when I got my finger all jacked up getting hit by a chair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what was the phone situation like? Was it like a politics thing? Because I know sometimes like, yo, this is the black phone, this is the Spanish phone, this is the white phone, this is, you know.
Fairfax wasn't that racially motivated, right? But the black dudes always did try to carry the softer white guys. But I was one of the white guys that, you know, you play spades for cups of water, dirty hearts for cups of water, for push-ups, shit like that. So I fit in. You know, the other softer white dudes were hiding in the corner. But this dude, Darren Williams, was carrying the white dudes. Like, you get the TV when it's your cleanup day, so it's your cell day. So every 10 days it's your TV, because there's 5 on the bottom, 5 up on the top tier. And whoever cleans that day gets the TV, so we did it by ourselves. And he would make the white dudes clean up for him and still run the TV. And I didn't fuck with the TV. I didn't care about it. I saw too many fights over the TV. But I had to put in my head that if he fucking pushes anything on me, anything, I gotta have him. I've always had this Napoleon complex. You're not gonna pick on me. You're just not. And so I put a little note on on the phone, you know, Jason's phone at whatever it was, 6:30. And he walked over like 15 minutes, the phone call was 30 minutes, like 15 minutes for my shit, and threw it. So I start checking the TV for the time.
Yeah.
I take off because, you know, everybody walks around the shower, so I put on my Kung Fu kicks, the little blue shoes, and
The Bruce Lees.
The Bruce Lees, yeah, Kung Fu kicks. And when it was time for the phone, I walked over and said, yo, my phone. He goes, some white boy want the phone. So I tapped him again. Yo, you got 10 seconds. And to my amazement, he hung up. I was like, hell yeah. So I got on the phone, and I'm trying to break the block to get in touch with Story. And when Story answers the phone, I start talking. He comes over, and I was like, yeah, what? He's like, what were we going to do? I said, I was going to take the phone. I goes, oh, okay. And he walked over to the picnic table, and he called 2 names. I just remember Red. He goes, yo, Red. And somebody else, and these trees came out of the cell. I forgot how big they were, right? He goes, and he was cool as shit. He goes, when that white boy gets off that phone, I'm going to take him in that cell. He sounded white as shit. He's like, you know, he didn't have, like, he purposely was like, that white guy gets off that phone, I'm taking him in that cell and kicking his ass. I said, shit, we ain't got to wait. And I dropped the phone. Man, that was a mistake.
Yeah.
I dropped it because I ran up on him, and I thought I could whoop him. I could not. It was bad.
One-on-one though?
Yeah. We shot the one because when we started fighting, the other guys had to lock in, and we're just banging it out. But he can really, really fight. Like, I like to grab you and you grab me, and we're gonna punch each other, and one of us is gonna quit. Like, you're gonna like it less, or I'm gonna like it less, and we'll call it a day. He did not.
He knew what he was doing.
Man, he must grew up fighting on the streets. So he's
gotta hate when that happens.
He's piecing me up, and so I try to muscle him. I grab him and throw him over by the phone. I run over and try to kick him, and he blocks it and just boom, boom. I was like, holy shit.
Was that like a reality check for you?
Yeah, but I was like, fuck it. We got to fight. But we were clutching over by the picnic table because I ran up on him. Then I threw him over by the phone, and we're clutching. I'm like, fuck, I'm getting my ass whooped. I'm gassing. Not only am I gassing, but I'm losing. And I'm wondering, where the fuck are the police? Where the COs at?
Yeah.
I mean, we had deputies in the jail. I'm like, what are these damn... Like, I've
They
seen
ain't coming to
100
save
fights.
you, yeah.
But I've seen 100 fights in the jail. They never lasted this long. I was like, fuck.
Right.
So I'm gassing. So with my last attempt, I want to throw him in front of the big window so the deputy in the booth can see what's up. But in the back of my head, I know because they told everybody to lock down. And he doesn't get up. Like, I throw him over there, but he's on his knees, so I slide up on him on my knees because I'm winded, and I headbutt him.
Damn.
And when I headbutt him, he already had the mouse, but I saw the mouse. I'm like, I'm going to bite his fucking face. I'm going to bite that mouse. So I'm going to bite. I want to bite that hunk.
Yeah.
So when I went in to bite him, I think he must have known what I was doing because he got a hold of my lip, and I ripped back and I headbutted him, and that's the only time I had the ups on that second headbutt, and I felt like I had this big fat lip, so I pushed myself up and I'm hitting. So when the police come in, it looks like I'm winning, even though they had to watch me get my ass kicked for the first 2 minutes. It's so funny because you've heard the expression, "all the bitch came out of me."
Okay.
Yeah, you ever heard that?
No,
Man.
I don't think so.
Okay, well, there's an expression in Northern Virginia, like, man, all the bitch came out of that dude. They were cuffing me up, and they helped him up, which blows my mind. So when they helped him up, they're spinning me around, putting cuffs on, man, and he hit me.
Oh,
Boom.
yeah, that ain't right.
And I
That's
go,
one thing I don't like. If the cops got somebody and they're holding somebody a cuffed, I don't, because it's like the cops are helping you fuck somebody. You know what I mean? That's how. So I look at that.
I still can't believe they helped him up. So I screamed, ah! And when they dumped me, we don't have water, but it's like a faucet just past drip, just a steady stream.
Damn.
And I'm looking down, and there's this puddle of blood just growing in front of my face. I was like, oh shit, that's not good. So when they put me on my butt, and I'm talking, I said, look, I know I'm going through the hole, but I think I need medical. They're like, don't talk, Brewer.
Yeah.
Don't talk.
Yeah.
And so when you're on the third floor, you're on maximum security, and you go down, you got a pass B4, and all these dudes are going, oh shit.
Yeah.
And I really thought it was my eye. I could feel, you ever been hit real hard in the eye, like it's swelling up and it's swelling shut? So I think I'm real messed up because of my eye. But these dudes are all doing this stuff, and when I went to medical, the nurse was touching all around my face.
All jacked up.
And she said, he's got to go to the hospital. And I was like, hospital? And she goes, has anybody seen it? And I go, seen it? And we call this deputy Fred Flintstone. Fred Flintstone walks in. He's like, I got his lip on the request form. I was like, my lip.
Wow, that's
so,
crazy.
4.5 hours of,
I can see. Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah, 4.5 hours of plastic surgery is what you get.
Yeah. So you end up coming back after the hospital. You got to do time in the hole.
Yeah. So I do 10 days. He does 17 because he appealed it. I just pled guilty. It was like I manned up. I was like, I started it. Like what do you got to say about the fine? I said, I started it. Yeah. I didn't care. I knew I was getting my 10 days. It didn't matter. Yeah. So I did my 10 days, and I came up. And when I came up onto the 3 North side, that all 5 pods up there just erupted. They're like, greatest fight ever. They're banging on the window. But my face is swollen. I got stitches up to here. I'm on a liquid diet. He comes up 7 days later. This is when I was tripping because I didn't know it was him until everybody went crazy like they did for me. And he was making a beeline to 3 North 5 where I was at. We fought in 3 North 4. He's coming 3 North 5. I said, God damn it.
Here we go again.
Man, no, I thought he was going to say meet me in the gym, and I didn't want to do it. Like I didn't want to be like, nah, man. I already had it like in my head. I was like, I'm gonna cop a dude. Say, can I heal? But he came to the slot where they throw you trays in. And he was like, yo, man, good fight.
Respect,
straight. Yeah, I was like, good fight.
Yeah.
And that was the end of it.
Yep, that's how it happens sometimes. You get a good fight with somebody, man, and it's just like respect too.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
So eventually, what happens? You get out, right? Mm-hmm. Like during that time in there, are you able to get into like any programs? What do they offer for education? Did you end up getting your GED? I
got my GED when I was getting I got it at that time. I got it in that the 9 months I did on that. I got my GED. I took a how to get a job course to get a couple of days off my sentence. They offered some stuff in the county jail, but not a whole lot.
I mean, was it a good feeling to kind of let your mom know that, like, hey, I got my GED, like something to be proud of? That must have been a good conversation.
My mom was real pumped.
Yeah.
Because I think she got her GED and she ended up going to night school and she went to real estate school and all that. Or did she graduate? I can't remember. She was very excited.
Yeah. Okay.
Pumped up. Her baby did something.
So this time you get out, you still end up catching state time after, right?
Yeah, I came home and went right back to smoking that shit.
Yeah, right away.
Right away. And
is it something that, like, you had the desire to not do it before you get out, and it's just or you just would like wait when I get out? This is what
I wouldn't even think about it when I'm in.
Yeah.
At this age, I never thought about it at all. But as soon as I get out, I would start thinking about it. Mm-hmm. Like I get drunk, and that was always whenever I drink. Right? Boom, yeah. Got to make that trip to DC because DC was where it was at. You pull up, 5 dudes run to your car. So I don't know, man. That life just got real shitty. Real nasty. I try to unalive myself because YouTube doesn't like certain things. Mm-hmm. Spent about 12 days in a coma. Wow. And that still wasn't enough because when I came out of the coma and I was still alive, I was so pissed off. All I wanted to do was go back to it. Wow. And by the time I was 25 years old, I had 2 girls pregnant. Yeah. One in Winchester, one Story in Fairfax, and I don't know, man. I wanted it to finally stop. Because I was out there doing some, I was getting shot at, pistol whipped. I was out there on the street. I didn't have a place to live. My mom was worried every night. And in my head, I was like, I'm gonna rob the Blue Max gas station. I'm gonna go rob this gas station. I'll go to jail, which is cool because I know how to handle jail and I'll heal up and I get my shit straight. I called my friend Randy before I robbed it. Back then they had payphones, and I called him and I said, yo man, I'm gonna rob the Blue Max gas station. He's like, nah, don't do it, Ubu. He called me Ubu. He said, Ubu, don't do it. I'll take you to detox. I said, I don't deserve detox. And I hung up on him and I went into the Blue Max gas station with a pair of shorts on, with a fake gun, and robbed it.
Wow.
And then I robbed the Blue Max gas station, Citgo gas station. I jumped over the table at a record and tape exchange because they had their cash in a cigar box. They didn't even have a register. And I jumped back up on the table. I was like, life's a bitch. And I ran out. That one was fun because nobody got hurt. They were all like, what the hell is going on? And then I robbed a restaurant down in Virginia Beach, and that wasn't cool.
Wow.
I went and bought a BB gun, or stole it actually, stole a BB gun. And when I robbed her, I said, like, here's $1, can I change? She was like, sure. And hit the button, and when cash register opened, I pulled
So
it
is
out.
this how you're supporting this habit? Like pretty much how you're running the whole time you're not working, or?
No work, no job. Like I would work with Randy, the guy I call occasionally. And he'd just tell me you're the most expensive hammer picker-upper I've ever had. Except my work ethic was shit.
Yeah.
I didn't have any skills, but I was good at talking. So it was kind of just like a.
I mean, so what's your mindset before this? Is this just like this is gonna be all or nothing? Were you think subconsciously hoping you got caught?
I wanted to get caught.
Clean up.
I wanted to get caught so I could get away. I didn't think there was any other way to get away, but I needed to be punished. In my head, I didn't think I deserved like recovery. I didn't even know what that was.
Yeah.
And I just didn't realize I'd get so much time.
Yeah. At any point, do you start thinking or talking to or questioning like God and faith and religion or anything like that?
I questioned. I started to have a sense of faith when I was in that coma. My family didn't know, but my friend Greg had told, not story, but Molly. Molly was the girl who took my virginity, called my mom because they were like, the doctors told him, like, why is his family not here? He's probably not going to make it out of this.
Wow.
I was 21 years old. I had cocaine heart. My shit was big. They were just like, he's not going to make it. He may not make it. His family needs to come in and say goodbye. And it's weird because my mom is not religious. She believes, but she's not like a churchgoer and all pumped up about Jesus. She just believes. And I came to with her holding my hand, praying and crying. I was like, I thought I was dead. And then I realized I wasn't. I fell right back to sleep. But that's what brought me out of my mom holding my hand, praying.
Wow. So how do you get caught for these armed robberies?
Jacob had just been born. He's about 4 months old. And I had him, he was born in October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May, June, July. So he's 8 months old, almost 9 months old. And I have her come visit me at this chick's house I'm staying at. And I pass out, and I bumped Robin in the middle of the night, and it woke up Jacob, and I was like, shut that damn baby up. And she got pissed off, and she put the baby in the car seat. I don't remember any of it. The last thing I remember is kind of like, look, she woke me up to say goodbye, and I saw Jacob in a car seat. I was like, all right, goodbye, and fell asleep. So she went and called the cops.
Wow.
She didn't know about the robbery. She's just calling the cops because I elbowed her, told her to show up the baby, and didn't apologize. Like, I don't remember. I'd been up for days. And there was a knock at the door, but it was shallow. It was hollow because she had a big storm door. And the people upstairs were like, yo, that's Robin. Go get the door. Your son and Robin are at the front door. So when I opened up the door, I was naked again, ironically. And it was 20 Fairfax City police. And they arrested me. They took me to a substation by St. Leo's elementary school in Fairfax City. I waited all night for the detectives to show up. Like, I didn't know what was going on. Because normally you just go right from the magistrate and go to jail. But the detectives wanted to talk to me. And I only remember the one detective's name, Detective Little, because he ended up committing suicide. But I forget the other detective's name. But they finally got there. They took me in a room. They handcuffed me to the bench, hit the recorder, read me my Miranda rights, and like, so you got this many charges. We can make it this many. We know you jumped in a minivan. And I knew it wasn't a minivan. I said, lawyer. And I said, I want an attorney. And I kept saying, I want an attorney. I want a fucking attorney. And finally, he turned off the recording. He said, a fucking piece of shit like you doesn't get one. I was like, fuck you. And they took me to the magistrate. And when they took me to the magistrate, they started reading off all types of shit. So I didn't know that each time I pulled that gun, it was 3 charges. So I had 11 felonies and 2 misdemeanors. But when they're reading off the charges, all of a sudden there's abduction of Jacob Daniel, my son, and abduction of his mom. And I was like, I didn't fucking abduct anybody. And I started pitching a fit, and then the detective grabbed me by my throat and slammed my head. And I do one of these numbers where you look at the magistrate, and it was funny because the magistrate saw what was going on, just turned. Kept doing paperwork. And Detective Little, that ended up off himself, was like, don't worry about the ones you didn't do. We got plenty on what you did.
Wow.
And that's when I was like, oh shit. So I called my mom, and I called my brother to give me some money and don't tell mom. Of course, he called mom immediately. Mom came up to see me, and I was like, I'm going away.
Yeah.
I said, Mom, this is bad.
So to get you some money for bail or for like when
No,
you get
commissary.
to jail? Commissary.
Once commissary, because you got to order your underwear, your T-shirts, your thermals and shit
So
like
was
that.
there? It was just a no bail situation or a
I
very high bail?
I had 5 no bails and then like $108,000. Like robberies with my extensive criminal record, they're like, nah. You ain't
So this is something that gets indicted, goes to Superior Court, and you go to
Not
state
in Virginia.
prison.
In Virginia, you when you get the felonies read to you by the magistrate, that's what they are. Then you go in front of the judge for your arraignment, and they say you've been charged with 11 felonies, 2 misdemeanors. You're being held with no bond. Can you afford an attorney?
Yeah.
No. All right, one will be appointed to you. And then you go back, and then you wait for your pro visit, and then you come in for your prelim. When I went for my preliminary hearing, my co-defendants told them that the gun was fake. But it doesn't matter in Virginia. If I pull a gun on you, whether it's a cap gun or a real gun, the fear is the same. But they were like, if you plead guilty to 2 robberies and 2 grand larcenies, we'll drop the other charges. So I agreed to it. And when the judge said, okay, so you're pleading guilty to robbery, whatever, grand larceny, you know you receive 2 life sentences and 40 years. Because robbery's 20 to life, and then grand larceny is 1 to 20.
Wow.
I said, I understand. And then the prosecutor laughed, so I got real pissed off. He's laughing like I just play guilty. Well, I could do 2 life sentences. And
So you don't even know like the amount of time that you're gonna.
They're gonna do what's called a PSI, pre-sentence investigation.
Okay.
And my lawyer said you're looking at about 15 years. And I thought that was fair enough. You know what I mean? For all that shit, that's fair. It turned out to be 15 years.
How old were you at this time?
25.
25. All right.
And so I go back in front of the judge for sentencing, and my guidelines were 11 years, 7 months, 18 years, and whatever, 6 months, and with a mid-range of 15.3. And I just assumed, because everybody's like, you're gonna get the 15. He gave me 11 years, 7 months, and 10 days for kicking the chair at the prosecutor.
Wow.
And then I thought it was over. So I'm like, 11 years, 7 months. Okay, so I'll do about 10 and some change. I did the math on 85%. I was like, that ain't the thing. I can do that. I actually went back to my pod, and because most people in jail aren't going away for long stretches. They're in jail, and when I went back, they're like, what happened, youngin'? And I said, shit, man, I only got 11 years, 7 months. I'm in 10 days. Never forget about the 10 days. And I was all pumped up. Like, man, he's the only motherfucker I know coming back from court with 11 years happy. And I was like, I thought it was fair.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I thought it was over. I was waiting to go down the road, and I got a professional visit. Got sent down to the visiting area. And when I walked in, there's 2 detectives. Like, hey, we're detectives such and such from Virginia Beach. You want to tell us about whatever the name of the restaurant was? I said attorney, and walked out. And then they took me down to Virginia Beach, and they offered me 18 years out of the gate. Like, we'll give you 18 and run consecutive, or consecutive. Yeah, consecutive. So I took that to trial. I had a 4-day trial, got a hung jury. The foreman called my attorney and apologized. It was 9-3 my favor. And when they offered me the 5-year cap, I took it. So I ended up with 16 years, 7 months, 10 days. I spent 15 years and 20 days in Virginia prison system.
So talk about the difference from going to jail to prison. How does that work, and what's the difference in Virginia?
It's weird because Virginia's not really, like, I've heard about California and Maryland and all these other places where they're real racially segregated. Of course, there's more black guys than anything, but then white guys were second in Virginia, but it wasn't a whole lot of that. I was just scared to go to prison, so I've always, I was a fiend. I was 165, I was 156 pounds when I got arrested. I looked like a skeleton.
Wow.
But by the time I went to prison, I was 220. I was doing 1,000 push-ups a day, Tyson squats, 2 decks, dips every day. I was preparing myself for war, but then I went to Sweet Meadows for my receiving. So you go to a receiving center, they classify you, and then you go to whatever prison you're going to. I went to a receiving center, and I knew some dudes from the jail. I knew my homie Josh, I just had some
Good
boys
to
there,
see
Rico.
familiar faces.
Yeah, and I was lifting weights. I got a sunburn. So I've been in jail for 26 months. I hadn't seen the light of day in 26 months.
So now you go up to this receiving spot. What's it different as far as like the logistics? Is it like, do you get a big yard? Do you get a like a
there's
gym?
been
You
no
said
outs-
you're
yeah.
lifting weights. Are these free weights or
Yeah,
they
free
cables?
weights.
Free weights? Okay, go ahead.
Excuse me.
Bless you.
Hell yeah. So when you're like, so I was in one building, you got 2 building, 3 building, and then you got 4, 5, and 6 building. And each building has its own rec yard. So it has a half basketball court. And then for the 3 buildings, there's a whole basketball court. You have a volleyball court, you have a horseshoe pit, and then you have the weight pit.
Okay.
So I was lifting, I was playing volleyball, I was living it up. And then I went for classification. All my boys were going to Augusta.
Okay.
So they're like, yeah, you want to go to Augusta? You'll be here for about a year, but you get to Augusta. We're all going to Augusta. And I was like, all right, bet I'm going to go to Augusta.
So how does that work? Is there different levels of security, maximum, mediums,
Oh, yeah.
like level 5, 6? And
Yeah,
what's
so
Augusta? And
road camps are level 1, like where you go out and work. Level 2s are the dorms, like I was at, because Deep Meadows is a dorm. Then you got the majors, which are the 3 and 4s, like Augusta. I forget all of them now. Nottoway. They're all cookie cutters. Buckingham, all of those. And then you had the Supermaxes. You had Sussex 1. You had Red Onion, and you had Wallens Ridge, and Red Onion was the level 6 for long-term seg. They've restructured the points now, or now it's just 5 and down. They took away the 6. But when I went for classification, I was 35 points, because of my age, because of my institutional. I'd heard of child molester pretty bad, so I had an aggravated assault on my institutional charge. And then I had the crimes. And so I had 35 points, and I could go in Sussex 1. I was like, what? Because everything else is a correction center.
What's the cutoff? Like 30? You said you got 35. Is it
Like
like more than
26,
30?
yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I was
you were
up there. I was
well
like,
over.
Fuck, man. I was like, and I was tripping because I'd never been to prison. I didn't want to go to a Supermax.
Right.
Because everything
Right,
else is a
right.
correction center. You got Augusta Correction Center. You got Sussex 1 State Prison, Red Onion State Prison, Wallens Ridge State Prison. These are for the criminal. These are for the thugged out dudes.
Yeah.
And I was real nervous to go there. That was terrifying because going into Deep Meadows is nothing, man. You got a couple fences and some razor wire. You walk in, they're like, hey, have a seat. We're going to give you a haircut. We'll give you some linens. You're going down to your building. Real chill. Man, Sussex 1 was not like that.
Okay.
Man, because
What was
they
it like?
had the yellow lines and the red lines, and if an inmate crossed the red lines, they were allowed to use deadly force.
Deadly force.
Yeah, they
Wow.
walked around with shotguns. They were on the catwalk with shotgun. Death row was there, so whenever a death row inmate moved, they had 5 deputies with guns around them. Wow. Super shackled. And they were tough. They were real rough on me when I walked in, because I was getting scared. I was tensing up. I thought they were gonna hurt me.
How many hours you locked down up there?
23 and 1 if you get the 1.
Wow.
But you always had annual lockdowns, and whenever there was big violence, lockdown. When I went back the second time, because I kept getting in trouble, I swear the last 9 months I was there, we may have made store twice. We may have been off lock twice.
Wow.
Because the Bloods and the Hispanics were warned. So every time the doors cracked, stabbings, beatings. They helicoptered the CO off that was trying to stop them.
Wow.
They stopped stabbing each other and damn near killed this guy. I don't know if he lived or not.
Damn.
Hell, it's like they killed a CO for bringing in drugs.
How does that feel? Like you go back to the cell, all that shit just happened, and you're like, you even said it now. I don't know if he lived or not. Like, does that kind of reality check where you're at, or like, what's going through your mind? You still
when I first started seeing violent shit in prison, I was like, ain't none of my business. And then I started getting in
get
trouble.
desensitized to it.
I'd call my mom if something bad happened. Like I saw a dude get really, and it's not the stabbings, because you don't really see the shit with stabbings.
Yeah.
And it's not when they drag them into a cell, because I almost feel like they make that happen themselves, except if it's real rough. But I watched Philly beat the shit out of this dude, BJ or Big, whatever his name was, and he was died. Man, his teeth went everywhere, blood everywhere, and I was stuck out in it. And Philly came up to me and told me he was going to do it. He said, his name is GW. He said, you see the new of the game? And I said, so what? Commissary, he owes me money. I said, so commissary's tomorrow. You know he's good for it. Nah, motherfucker, he's disrespecting me. And I was like, oh, I was like, Philly, don't. Man, bullshit. Yeah. And it was so bloody and so gross. And my cell was in the corner, and the teeth went up underneath of it. It was nasty. Damn. That would be when I called my mom on. Called my mom when the dude got thrown over the top tier, and he threw his metal locker on him.
Top tier is what, 3rd, 4th? I mean, how high is the top tier?
No, just at Augusta, it was
Second?
just 2 tiers up.
That's
But
okay.
at Power Town, it was 3. But I never saw anybody get tossed at Power Town.
So talk about this whole calling your mom when stuff like that happens? Is it just like to get touched back into like
because I can't
reality,
walk around and say,
or
man,
is it just you want to tell your mom like you love her before something might happen to you?
Exactly. I want to tell someone because in there, it's shit, man. Yeah, that was some great shit, man. You see that motherfucker's teeth fine? But in reality, I'm like, man. But I became desensitized to it all. I didn't care. I got to a point where I was like, man, he brought it on himself.
Yeah.
Should have paid that debt.
That's true.
You know,
a lot of times it is brought. It's usually never not for nothing.
Yeah.
But sometimes you're just in this gang. This gang's with this gang.
Yeah.
But that's what, you sign up for that. Nobody accidentally is in a gang, right? You know what I'm saying?
I didn't trip and fall into a gang. I got recruited by the Crips, which was so funny because I was at the last couple years of my bid, and they recruited me. I was like, yo, they just helicoptered Buck up off here because you can't be a Crip on level 5, and you're asking me. I said, man, I've been in here 13 years. I'm not becoming a Crip
Why
now.
do you think it was? Because, I mean, you're a big guy.
I was big, and then because it's funny because in prison there was the Crips, the GDs, the gangsters. We got GD, you had the Crip. Anyhow, if I talked to a dude that was a Crip, the blood would be like, what you talking that crab ass motherfucker for? And then if I meal with a blood, they'd be like, what you talking that slob ass nigga for?
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm soda pop. I ain't down with nothing. I'm just cool. And everybody liked me.
What do you mean by that? Soda pop? Is that like?
Because that's what I turned into. So like, my name's Jason.
So that's what they would call you.
Yeah,
soda pop.
everybody called me soda pop. Nobody called me Jason.
I didn't
Even
know
the
if that was
CEOs.
the thing, a way to say like you're neutral or
no,
Florida.
no.
They say neutrons.
Yeah,
or
yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
Okay, so that was your nickname.
That was my nickname. I got into a fight in the Donahoe, and it's like Buzz and them named me Soda Pop because my name is Jason. There's so many Jasons.
Yeah,
but
that makes sense.
I got into a fight with this dude named Kevin Austin at Augusta at Chow, and I wrecked him. I was scared to death. I didn't win because I'm some great fighter. I won because he embarrassed me in front of 300 people in the Donahoe, and it was either get him and win or be a punk. Because if I let that shit slide, then everybody they get away with it. So I stood my ground, and I fractured his cheekbone, 7 stitches, 3 stitches. So it was real bloody.
Yeah.
So when I came out of the hole, I was soda pop. I did almost 4 months in the hole, and Sergeant Williams was the sergeant that was working the hole. When I came out, I didn't have my ID, and I went to go to pill line, and I said, "Yo, Sergeant Williams, I need my ID." He said, "Okay, soda pop, I'll be right back." And he went into J1 and came out. I'm like, "Damn, man, what's taking so long?" He came out like 15 minutes later, and he looked around. He goes, "Soda pop, what's your name?" I said, "I didn't even check my chart for 3 months. Jason Brewer." And he went and got my ID because even on my face card in the booth, it had my name marked out, Soda Pop. Wow. Nobody knew me as anything but Soda Pop, even though my name was there.
Funny.
So I kind of took on that persona. I was savage with Chama. That was the shit that fucked with me when I came home. I did some real gnarly shit to some chomos. I held
I'm sure that's personal with you, right? I mean, is that what happens? Somebody, like say, someone comes on the block with that funny charge, right? White guys got to handle the white guys. Everybody takes their own trash out, or is it everybody's like, let's get this good guy up out of here?
In the beginning, so there's this dude named Dracula, well-known chomo from Virginia Beach, and I'm talking with my boy Teardrop, white dude, and Josh, Teardrop, myself are talking, and Dracula said something, and I had no patience. This is early. In the first 5 years, you didn't even have to speak at that point if you were chomo. And I went to get him and said, "Yo, homie, do a lap with me." And so when he walked around, he took a lap with me. He said, "I promise you he'll never speak to you again, but his grandmother pays me to keep him safe. Don't fuck my hustle up."
Shit.
And he was real cool about it. It wasn't like, "Nah, you can." He's like, "Please, yo, Pop, take a walk with me." And that's what would happen more than anything.
I don't like that. Last time I was in jail, I saw people, maybe they're rats or whatever, the whole pay to stay shit. Like, I don't know. For me, I'd rather be with a bunch of solid dudes that we got to struggle together. I don't want to be walking around on this living with people. You're pretty much, even when you're in a cell, your cell's just in a bigger room. You know what I'm saying? You're in the same house, pretty much.
I couldn't stand in my head this fucking
that's the politics, right? I mean, people.
And that was their hustle. They didn't have shit.
Yeah, I know,
don't take food out of my mouth, but
I get it.
I understood it, but I respected it. Teardrop was cool as shit. If he'd have come off wrong with it, instead of very polite with it, not like a bitch, but like, I don't get nothing.
Yeah.
And so I respected it, but Dracula didn't never speak to me again. Yep. And then the dude that I hurt pretty bad, he was in Winchester molesting little boys. And at the same time, my son is like 8 years old. I had a dream that something happened to Jacob, and I run on the phone. I'm like, "Hey," Anything happen to you?
You ever catch any like outside charges for any of these? Like have to go to actual court? Or is it all just
No.
disciplinary?
No, disciplinary. When I was on my last 18 months, I was back up at Sussex 1, and I got a pro visit. Fuck pro visit. I got 18 months, man, and I thought, shit, what didn't I get caught for?
Right.
And I went there with the investigator showed up. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing here? He's like, police want to talk to you. I was like, oh shit. So when that was scary. We walked in and they're like, I'm Detective such and such with Virginia State Police. We've had 3 criminal referrals on you, Mr. Brewer. If you put your hands on one more person, we're gonna give you a charge, violate your probation, and we'll bury you under this prison. That was, and I got mad. I didn't get mad, but I was like, what? For what I've done? Yo, this dude just got railed by 3. He got dragged in the bathroom. I'm just saying, and I didn't say anything to this, but I'm thinking in my head.
Yeah.
I just heard the intercom say, slide his TV out after y'all beat and enjoyed him. If you don't give him his TV, he's gonna tell. So I'm gonna open your door, slide his TV out, and you're giving me shit for what I've done.
Wow.
You know, this dude owed me money, so he got it. Because if I don't get him, they're gonna get me. And I felt kind of like a victim, and I made it racial. I said, y'all just don't like a hard white dude. You guys want us all to be soft. We don't care about that. Touch another person, and which is crazy because that's when I had to kind of keep my cellie in a cell one night, or for a long time. I had a cellie that just went, because now I have 18 months. I'm like, I'm about to go.
Yeah, sure.
And I just went up, and my levels dropping. I have to go to re-entry, which is what the one I went to was at Powhatan, and my cellie just would not shut the fuck up. And I'm telling him, like, yo, bro, I don't know how to do this. Stop. And he was an older guy.
Yeah.
He just kept running his mouth, and I jumped out of my bunk, and I'm like choking him on his bed, and he finally calmed down because I'm trying to choke him out. That's the closest I probably ever came to killing someone because I was trying to crush his shit.
18 months left.
18 months left because I'm scared. If you're going to bury me in this prison, I might as well just go ahead and body someone. And I don't think like that. And it's so weird thinking about that shit now. But he finally got up and started talking some more, and I just ended up just hurting him. And so he's all laced up. We're on lock. I had to get my boy. Damn, I can't think of his name now, but I had to get him. He black dude with blue eyes, though. He's cool as street. I said, give me some Vaseline. I had to pack his eye. Had to put a scully over his head. I wouldn't let him leave. But I'll give that old man credit because when we finally did come off lock and he got called to the counselor's office and he was still bruised up but healing, they're like, what happened? He's like, basketball. He's like, we're going to lock for a month. He's like, basketball.
Oh, fell off the bunk.
Yeah, and then they shipped me.
So you had mentioned the gangs, right? Crips, GDs, the Bloods, right?
Yeah,
is it like
absolutely.
white gangs too, or is
There were, but I didn't associate with them. Like if you were in a white gang, you didn't tell me about it. You know, because I balled with the black dudes, I lifted with the white dudes, I lifted with the black dudes, but I was mainly me and Josh. And then when Josh, I hooked up with a CEO, so Josh effed up Boo Foster, and he got shipped to Nottoway. My boy Josh got shipped to Nottoway. I only hung out with a couple people. I was more of a loner.
Yeah.
But got along with everybody.
Gotcha.
So if you did talk that shit, you didn't talk it around me.
Yeah.
Because you knew I wasn't about it.
Yeah.
I was always just me. I was never going to go fuck someone up for you.
I mean, honestly, I feel like racism is just like it's an unintelligent take, right? Don't nobody choose to be black, to be white, to be a mid. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So to not like someone for something that they have no choice in the matter is just it's stupid. You're unintelligent. It's not a smart people don't do that. I don't think. You know what I mean?
And that's I don't know about it in the prisons today, but in our society, see, that's fading, man.
Yeah.
That's it. It just ain't even cool anymore. You don't even. So. In there, nah, man, it's funny because there was an incident where...
I mean, I understand sticking with you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I get it. You know, the tribalism and everything like that.
Yeah.
But actually hating someone because that they're different is just
I'd hate
not
you for your crime
smart.
before I hate you for anything else.
Absolutely. So talk about, man, you in and out the hole, right? Even when you're not getting in trouble, the place is locked down a lot. So you got all this time to like self-reflect. So like, what are some things that you learned about yourself during this time?
I didn't. I have this. I spent in total, I was trying to add it up, like 15 or 16 months in the whole total. And when people go to the hole, they're really dumb, man. They want to yell at their homeboy, like, yo, J-Rock, what you doing back here? Ah, man, I never spoke when I went to the hole, but I would put it in the earbuds and I'd tie my face off and I'd create these alternate, it's going to sound really weird, alternate realities.
Yeah.
I daydreamed for so long that they put me on strip cell because I wouldn't eat, I wouldn't answer the door. They're like, you flipped. And so that's what I do whenever I go to the hole. And when we were on lockdown, I'd either want to get my heroin because there's so much heroin. I'd want to get my heroin, or I'd want to just tie off and sleep and go into this alternate universe.
Wow.
I was terrified to come home. I liked prison.
Did you use during that whole bid pretty much?
I'd use off and on, but at the end, as I got closer and closer to my date, it just picked up. I was really, it was funny. My mom called me an effing coward. I was like, Mom, you've been here for these 15, coward. Makes no sense. She's like, you were scared to come home. So you're purposely messing up. And I went back and laid on my bunk and I thought about it. She was right. Because in prison, I was soda pop. I was cool. I didn't have any worries. My mom kept my books.
You come home, nobody cares about that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But coming home was terrifying. I'm like, fuck, I'm 40. I have no skills. I feel dirty. I feel like when I came home, I thought people could smell it because prison has a smell. And I would scrub the shit out of myself. It's in my nose. And I'd say they'd see my tattoos. They're like, yeah, you're a prisoner. You're a fucking convict. And nobody's blinking twice because everybody has tattoos now. Like nobody's thinking, oh, he has tattoos. He was in prison. But in my head, I didn't want to come home.
Insecure?
Yeah, I was real insecure. My brothers had homes, children. They were all very successful. I had nobody. My grandmother died Sunday. I came home on a Monday. It was weird 'cause we had this pact. She would stay alive until I came home so she could cook me chicken. I was supposed to come home on a Friday, but I had no address to give. My mom didn't want me. My brothers didn't want me. So I had to stay over the weekend so they could put me in a halfway house in Richmond. And when my mom picked me up to take me to, because you have to go to the PO's office and then you go to where they assign you, I'd never had a phone. I went to jail in '99. I never had a cell phone. So I wanted to get on the phone and start like calling my son, who was 15 now. I wanted to make some phone calls. My mom wouldn't let me touch the phone. And she was like, your grandmother died.
Wow.
We don't want you there. We don't want you at the
I mean, how
funeral."
do you start to feel about yourself when she's, they don't want you living with them, they don't want, they didn't want you to go to the services?
Because they didn't know what kind of, all they had heard for 15 years is the trouble I got into. And so my mom, she didn't know what was coming home.
Yeah.
My brothers, my one brother never spoke to me the whole 15 years I was down. My little brother would come and see me, but nobody wanted me with them. They're like, "Ooh, you're fucking, you've never been successful. Why would we bring you into our lives?"
Hey, it's never too late to do great. That's how I see it, man. And
that's my mentality now. To you guys in there or coming home, there is an escape. There is freedom from all the bullshit up here.
Yeah.
So I took it rough, man. I was walking around Richmond and I ended up starting shooting some dope and I got in some more trouble. And my second spiritual experience, I tried to off myself again. I was in a coma again this time. Lose me, bring me back, lose me, bring me back. And I had this epiphany when I woke up and came because it took days. They finally took this out. You know how they wet your lips with the thing? And I was crying and she's like, why are you crying? I was like, I don't want to be alive. But I was like, because I just knew. I had a new malicious wounding, an abduction, and probation violation. I was like, I'm going back for the rest of my life. I'm like, God, this is one of those times, I swear I will do good if you get me out of this. And I believed at that time, not like the foxhole prayers from before. And the person I got into it with had a top secret clearance. Those charges, they didn't want, because if they testified on me, I would have to testify, well, you stabbing me up, what am I supposed to do? And they wanted to keep that $100,000 a year job, so that went away. The probation violation, much like when I was a teenager, like, you're not fit for probation, we're gonna give you 11 months in Fairfax and in your probation, and a bunch of money from a girlfriend named Tara Blott paid the lawyer, that paid the whoever, to get me a month in my probation in Virginia Beach. And I did 1 year, that was it. And I was off all probation. And when this is the weirdest thing, is I believe that I would never drink or drug again at this point. I believe I was gonna come home and share the miracle. And as I got closer, I started thinking about drinking. I was like, but I don't want to anymore.
Yeah.
I don't want to pick up another drink.
So what are these like conversations like with yourself in your head? Are you trying to justify, I'll just drink once?
No,
what's going on?
Didn't even try to justify. I was like, no.
Yeah.
But I got released at midnight. At 5:30 the next day, I was sitting in a bar and literally for the first time drinking against what I considered my will. I was like, fuck it. Because as I took the drink, I knew what I really wanted was that Coke. And I started trying to get better. Then it still took me a long time. That was at 43, and I didn't get sober till I was 47. Now I'm a little over 3 years sober now.
Wow.
And that's when the freedom started. When I came in fully desperate and willing to work the steps to have this spiritual experience, the compulsion to drink and drug was removed over 2 years ago. And since then, it's been working through the fears in my head, to be the best me, not to be ashamed of what I've done, so I can give this other person, any other person in this world, peace from that bullshit, and know that you're a child of God. If you know, I don't preach religion, but you are a child of God. If you have freedoms out here that you're entitled to.
Yep.
And you can get away from that bullshit.
The drinking and the drugs, it's just the you're treating the symptoms. You got to get to, you can stop that, but then you're left with that, yourself and that stuff that you never wanted to address for 40 years, the underlying issues and everything like that.
Because when I quit drinking drugs, I got arrested sober. I got a call to charge fighting. I flipped out on somebody in the media and I realized, oh shit, it's not the drinking and the drugs, it's me. I got some deep shit that I've been too scared to look at for too many years. And is it worth now to go back to drinking, drug, back to prison, or face this shit?
Right.
And I decided to face it.
Either way, it's going to be hard, but what's on the other side of those hards, right?
Yeah, freedom.
Yeah.
Freedom from this fucking mind that thinks that hates me.
Yeah.
And doesn't think I'm worth shit. But then there's the other part, the heart, that says, yeah, you are. You're beautiful. You can do this, and you can help. And fuck you. Sorry, God.
It's all right. It's all good.
Forget you. You can help someone else, and there's more freedom in helping the next
It's
person.
so much more fulfilling to help somebody else.
That's why I admire you. That's why I'm talking to you for 2 minutes. Like, this guy's great. 'Cause I didn't know what to expect.
Right,
Like
right.
Boston, I said, is this dude gonna try to punk me because I'm a country boy? Like, I thought you'd be like, all right, country boy, what's your story?
Right.
I watched some of you, and I never seen you be like that. Then you talked about your brother, your dad. You did a little time, and look at you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I appreciate
you're so
that.
goddamn young too. I didn't realize you were a baby.
I mean, how old do you think I am?
24.
I'm 38 years old, man. I'll be 39 next week.
I hate you. Look at you. No gray hair. This dude has no gray hair, full head of hair. What the hell's going on?
Yeah, I get the hair I get from,
I thought you were a jiu-jitsu instructor. The way you walked out, I said, that fuck, what is he?
I just came from the gym.
Yeah.
So, like, I mean, going through everything that you went through, the mental health stuff, the not feeling any self-worth, any self-value, like, what advice would you give to somebody who doesn't feel like living anymore?
Find one single reason to live.
That's all you need.
One single reason to live, and then just take each, because not every day is great. Get away from the thought of thinking every day is going to be great. Just find one thing that's holding you back and address it. And then when the next thing comes up, address it. Yep. And one day you're going to be able to tell somebody, hey, I felt exactly as you did, and this is what I did. And then you're going to see the lights turn on for that kid, and you're going to be like, whoa, well, that felt great. Now it makes me want to do more. I learned how to hit a speed bag just so I could say I did it.
Yeah.
I talk to people all the time. I just did a shout out on my podcast. This kid, man, Patrick, was it paraplegic? He went through a window and got paralyzed. He was drunk, going to get some coke, and he got sober and he was helping all these people. Man, they were going hunting, got killed on Sunday. I've been brokenhearted all day. But he inspired. Like, if you can look at this kid, who had lost the use of his legs, young as shit, and he'd be wheeling around. He'd help anybody, hunting, fishing, girlfriend. Nothing held him back. He conquered his disease, and then he conquered his fears. And he never would say, I'm a cripple and look what I do. But all of us watched him, and he was supposed to be on my podcast, man. And so I thought his story was beautiful. And now he's gone because somebody drove down the wrong side of the road. Yeah. But his story will inspire others.
Absolutely. We're all connected.
Yeah.
I think, you know what I mean? So what would you say is like, because movies, music, a lot of time, glorification of crime in prison and jail makes you a tough guy, feather in the cap. Like, what would you say is the worst part about that, about prison, about jail, about being locked up?
One, I became unhuman. Two, right now, me and you are hungry. We can go get something to eat. Imagine, and you have great energy. So we've had all this good energy. You're sitting in prison with a bunch of people that are plotting. It's bad energy. It's dark. You're always looking over your back. There's nothing beautiful about the life. I had moments of levity when I was in there. I was laughing. There was shit that was funny, but there was way more darkness. Yeah. And even though the movies make it seem cool, it's not. Go do 15 years. Yeah. It's in a movie, 15 years is 3
an hour
minutes.
and a half, right? You're watching an hour movie, yeah, sure.
Right.
That seems easy enough.
Some of those movies, like, see the crime, and 15 years later, he's released, and you're only 5 minutes. You're like, yeah, 15 years is quick. No, it's not.
No.
Go sit in a hole for a week. But it's all romanticized to make you think it is. It's not. Nothing cool about prison.
Not at all.
What's cool is watching your kids grow. Not going, I changed my son's thing, and now he's 6'5". I missed from here to 6'5". And
Years
it
will
fucks
never
up,
get back.
Never. And I used to just think, and there's another thing I never realized, that I was like, I'm the one doing time. Bullshit. Mom's doing time. My brother's doing time. My children are doing time with me. And whenever I do something, and my mom's a wreck, my aunts are doing time. Their kids are doing time because Aunt Sue's upset, so their mom is upset. Our lives affect so many people so dramatically when I just thought it was me that was experiencing the pain.
Ripple effect. You become a bill.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, oh, got to pay the cable, got to pay the phone, got to pay the rent. Oh, got to send my son just what.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's
like,
Christmas.
how's that feel as a son? Now you're a bill to your mom. You know,
Yeah.
it's a shitty feeling, bro. You know, especially they're not hustling, they're not selling.
Yeah.
You know, they're making money legit. Like, you know, it's. We think we got it all figured out. We're out there, you know, maybe selling drugs, right?
Yeah.
To get money. But next thing you know, a year or two later, the math don't math. Now you got to ask for money. You know what I mean? It's demoralizing.
And that becomes in. My boy Josh, he was 18, he did 20 years, and he's like, the hardest thing for me is occasionally I'll think, man, I'm in debt or I'm tight on money, I want to go get my son something. I can flip a pack. Then he's like,
Right.
I flip that pack, but then I can't do no 20.
Yeah.
Because it's not a flip pack.
It's bad energy. Even
Yeah.
touching it, I
And
think,
so
nowadays.
He did 20 years, man. I love him so much. He's home. He has a house now. He has a kid.
Awesome.
Man, that's my boy.
Awesome.
That's Josh, because Josh, John, myself, my homeboy Justice. There's only 4 of us that I know that have come home. Like, you know, when you do 15 years, you don't see somebody for a while, and you see them again. You're like, oh shit, what spread were you at? Nah, man, I went home. I called a new 15.
Yeah.
Like what?
Crazy.
It's crazy because people just keep coming back. So when I see people like us get it, get your dad, Josh, and all them boys get it, and they're going home doing the right thing, it makes me feel warm.
Absolutely.
Because it's hope.
So talk about the sobriety part of this, right? Like, what's been the biggest reason? Like, what would you attribute the most to your sobriety? Like, if there was one thing, is it meetings? Is it God, or like?
I'll say Mike F. If you see this, don't let it go to your head. There's this guy named Mike F. I won't say his whole name because we always call him Mike. Fuck all of you, because he's always talking down to people. And I didn't know much about recovery, but I knew I had to work the 12 steps. And the sponsor, because he's called what we call a sponsor, someone that's worked the 12 steps, and they guide you through them so you can have this relationship with your higher power. And Mike Vergala, when I met with him, because I knew he knew the steps, I said, will you sponsor me? He goes, I carry a gun, don't make me shoot you. And I said, okay. And he took the time to set with me. When you do 4 and 5 is where you write out all your resentment. So I had to write out everything that happened as a child, every dirty thing that I did in prison, to this, everything that I've ever done. Because the fear of drinking was more powerful than sharing it with him. He never batted an eye. He listened to all that. I'm in there, snot coming out, crying, tripping, just thinking I'm the biggest piece of shit on the face of the earth. 1, 2, developing this. I have big, like, I don't define God because I don't want to pollute it for anyone else or whatever it's called. I want you to have your own experience with it. And the wife that we've ended up leaving each other, she loved me unconditionally. So I'd say Mike Vergala,
I
edit that out.
can edit it.
Mike
Man.
F.
You said it before too.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
It's all
Mike
good.
F, my wife, and then after working the steps, when I blew up in that meeting, and I realized, fuck, it's me, it's not the drugs and alcohol. And having the ability through my higher power to pray and face some of these fears that it's terrifying to come on here. I didn't break down today and cry, but podcast, I used to not even be able to talk about it because I was so ashamed. I'm not ashamed of my past anymore. I'm here to help people. I don't judge myself.
You know what? Sometimes I just, you know what? When you take the focus off, you know what? It's not even about me anymore.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's so liberating. It's so freeing. It's like, you know what? F it. I don't even care how I look. It's because it's not about me.
Yeah.
This is about the people who get something from whatever, even if just the guest itself, anybody. I feel like, just the world in itself, right?
Yeah.
Your purpose and everything. It's not here for you.
Yeah.
I don't think. I'm not here for me. I'm here for the betterment of the world.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm just a small part of it.
Yeah, because just the ripple effect when we're hurting everybody, when we're doing good, that ripple effect goes out too. And the world, whether people want to admit it or not, it's been chaotic lately. It's nice to put some good into it. Keep pushing that good out. Help someone. Helping another person helps me more than anything else I've ever done.
Absolutely.
Talking with you was beautiful because somebody's going to hear us today and be like, fuck it, I can do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I can do it.
Absolutely. What advice would you give to somebody who just came home and they're trying to do the right thing?
Don't give up. Don't believe that bullshit in your head. Just take it one step at a time. Get a job. You know what I mean? Don't go out with the homies smoking the L, saying I can beat the piss test. Just take it one step at a time. Josh did it. Josh did day labor. I got lucky and got a job doing sales, which I turned out to be good at. Josh did day labor till he found his way. Find a woman, or whatever your flavor is. Find someone and share a life with them. Build a life instead of tearing one down, but just take a breath. It's not what you think out here. It's not, nobody's looking or plotting. Take a breath.
So talk about the sales, right? I mean, that's something I take, you'd have to be open-minded if you've never did it before. I think that's a big thing where people are just very closed-minded. They put themselves in a box, man, try new things. You never know what you might like or love, or you might try something new, and then immediately you're like, this is what I was put on this earth for. It comes so easy. I'm automatically in a flow state or whatever it may be. But if you're not open-minded, you know, then you might never discover your superpower.
It's so funny you said open-minded, because that's a big part of the literature. Step 2, open-minded. You're absolutely right. I can't hear you, let's say you or anybody, if I'm closed-minded to what you're saying. I gotta have an open mind to hear you, understand you, be a part of it, and then open mind is the biggest key. You're a beast. Are you in recovery? You're messing me up.
No.
Church, something.
I want to get more into church, but I just, you know, I'm into life, man. Life has been life, and
I mean,
I'm bouncing back from it, bro.
You got a lot of.
I mean, I've done
energy.
it. I've done, like, for probation, I've went to meetings and stuff like. I'm not currently in any of that, but you know, I take a little bit from everything. Man.
Right.
You know, I try to at least learn. And learn from life experiences and try to share that with other people. Even more, I first started doing videos because I felt so good working out that I'm like, I gotta post this because I want other people to feel how good I feel. I feel amazing. You know what I mean? I want to see everybody feeling like this, and then who knows what we could build. Especially like you said, in this world so full of negativity. You know, even on the internet, what goes viral the most? Something negative will go viral like that. You know what I mean?
Something positive never does.
This is gonna take a while, but you know what? I'm not going anywhere, man. That's for sure. That's for sure. So I want to talk about, like, so where are you at with your podcast, and like how many episodes deep are you? Like, what are some things
I have one episode out.
Okay.
I have a bunch of shorts out, but Enzo, who was my editor, he just went away. And it was kind of a thing about money, but what he never said, we said we were going into it 50-50, but I did Sheila, I did Frank, who's out, Irving goes out Tuesday, then Robert goes out. I just interviewed a serial killer's wife the other day, Monty Rissell. So I have 6 of them in the chamber, and they're all being edited. So it's going to start being every Tuesday, putting them out, because, you know, Monday night's football, ain't nobody watches it. I'm going to put it out every Tuesday, and I have 6 shorts per thing. And that's
what's been your favorite part so far about doing it?
Really going to talk to people. I like sitting down. My job is to meet someone in distress and talk to them and convince them to use our company. And then my job is to woo the insurance adjuster to kind of go in the way we want with the build. With people, all I have to do is listen. You know, I like to say, you know, you meet them, they're all nervous at first. I know what it's like being nervous. And then we're just chit-chatting, all of a sudden it's rolling, and then they're just telling their story, and I watch them get emotional, and I watch them break down, and then I watch them talk about how beautiful life is now, because it's real hard coming from this to this. You know, one of my guests, Jess, she was an Olympic skier, and then she's in a shootout with the Arlington police. Got her husband getting shot up 5 times. She, you know, and they came from Olympic skier to that, to now they're helping people. They're married. They have a home. They have their children back in their lives, and watching that freedom. Those tears are freedom, man. Frank crying about his brother that he lost to Agent Orange, and he did all his time in prison, and he's helped people. He's been sober a long time. Robert got cut up. They stopped counting at 700 stitches, and his kids loved. They never knew that he did my podcast with his kids, never knowing he went to prison, because they've never seen him. You know, he's been sober 24 years. Nancy, you know, talk about Monty being in prison all these years, and how unfair the medical institution is in prison. They just let you die. You know, a few of the guys died. They come in and say, my heart, my chest hurts. I can't breathe. Put him for sick call. They went back and had heart attacks and died.
I'm glad you touched on that too, because I told you my situation with my brother being locked up. He's actually a diabetic as well, and the care in there is horrible. He's where he's at now. He's like, I've seen so many diabetics like that he hasn't seen for years. he goes to this facility and they're missing, fingers, toe. You know what I mean? It's just the healthcare is subpar.
That's what my mom's idea. She's like, you have to. Someone died from lithium poisoning. I had a kidney infection. I was sick as shit. They didn't know what was up. And because I had bad crime at that institution, they weren't going to help me. They were literally letting me die in the hole until a sergeant. I couldn't talk without. I was so disoriented. They finally sent me out. I had 600 times the legal limit of lithium in me. And they had to do emergency blood transfusion, but they didn't let me die. A bunch of guys died in prison that didn't have to. They left Jimmy. I forget his last name, hanging. That's what she was telling me. Like, he hung himself. They took away smoking in 2010. He got caught smoking. They put him in the hole. He hung himself. And they let him dangle for 40 minutes.
That's horrible.
I mean, the medical care and prison systems are horrific.
So tell me why you thought it was important to, tell your story today, and also, like, you having other people tell their story. Why are these stories important to be told, in your opinion?
Because men and women, we're trained not to ask for help. Especially men, you're not supposed to ask for help. And if I can sit here and share a story, which is bad, but there's worse out there. People have been through far worse.
For sure.
And somebody, I'm willing to go talk now to someone. I understand what he went through. Now, how do I get the help? How do I get free from this? I just hated myself. And as long as I hate myself, I was creating a reality where I'd stay in prison, hurting myself, just in this awful, miserable space. And now that I've become free of that, man, I make mistakes all the time, but I don't hate myself over it.
Absolutely.
If I would never treat you as my brain tells me, and that's how I try to start treating myself better. Yeah. And it's weird, by treating myself better, I'm open to you. I can hear, I'm using you because you're sitting here, but anybody. I see these kids.
Well, you
today,
can't even properly love someone else if you don't love yourself. I've learned that recently too.
So I had to take some hard looks. I was a terrible husband. And I loved my wife enough to let her go. And that's a weird thing to say. I'm starting to love myself. I had to find me. And so I've really, really been working on, not just to check, because the childhood trauma shit was terrible, but the things that I did in prison and the things I did, I would shudder at night. Like, God, how could you have done that? And I said, that's not who you are today.
You gotta let it go.
Yeah.
You can't spend the rest of your life feeling guilty, because then it's like being unappreciative of the chance you have and the life you have. Where a lot of people don't, man. A lot of people never coming back from behind those walls, or they're buried under that ground, man. And we got to make the most of our time
here. It's
here.
funny. I've never been to Boston. Here I'm with you. I went and talked to the other guy down there in Florida. I went to Connecticut. I'm going to California. Like, I thought my destiny was prison, die, and stay in this little tiny area of Virginia. I'm getting to meet guys like you, and then somebody, well, you can do it. You can leave a state? Yeah, I promise you. You can leave the country. I didn't think I could.
Right. I still don't even have a passport. It just wasn't something I thought I could do. You know what I mean? Now it's just procrastinating. I could probably get it.
Me too.
But the country's big enough too. Plus, man, every time I go south, I'm gonna visit my dad in Florida probably. That's just why I'm a family man. I
got to be there for my granddaughter's birth. How weird, because I wasn't there for either one of my kids.
So you're a grandparent.
Yeah, I have one granddaughter, Little Miss. It's gonna be my dog's. I turned it off.
It's all good. You don't got to show the pictures of the kids online and everything too. Bunch of weirdos out.
Right,
you never know, man. Who knows? Some weirdo
absolutely.
might be.
And then Jacob, my oldest, we did talk for 18 months. We had it out, and he hit me up the other day, Dad. I'm gonna have a little girl in February, and we've been talking. And now it's so weird manifestation, because he's like, maybe you'll come out here and do a podcast one day. And it wasn't 3 days later. The other one, I'll say it, Soft White Underbelly called me, and now I'm going out and I get to see my son Jake, and I'm going to get to see his pregnant, and I'll go back out, because now I'm not poor, I'm not broke, not from podcasts, because I've managed to save some money and I give it all to the dope man. When my second granddaughter is born, I can shoot right out there and see Jake and Alyssa, that stuff like that I never thought would happen.
So how important is it for people coming home, like you said, to get that job and to, try new things and just to have that legal, you know what I mean? You seem to be doing well for yourself with the project management and everything like that.
And because, don't just go find a job. Find something you enjoy. But if at first all you can do is just get a job, just get that job. Get them people off your back. Get that paper off of you.
It's always easier too to get a job when you have a job. That's what I always say. You know what I mean? Like, because if you don't got a job, they'll be like, why? Why don't you already have a job? You know. Whereas if you're trying to get another job, you're just, I'm trying to advance. I'm trying to move on from the, you know what I mean, and do better. And they're like, oh, they like that. You know what I mean?
Don't believe that you can do it.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, man. The important thing is get the people off your back. Don't go running with the old crowd. You know what I mean? Focus in on something else. Stay away from them people, because it's so fun. I want to go hang out with my homies because it's comfortable. I know that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But you know where it leads you and everything.
Yeah.
As well. So what are some of the goals you have moving forward? I guess with the podcast and with, you know, the construction.
I would like to keep doing project managing and working on the podcast on the side, but one day. I've traveled for this for the last few weeks, which is so draining. But I like that. That would be something I'd like to do one day. Go meet people, travel, and talk to them on the podcast, or just go talk to them. I'd like to be able to reach more people.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've been stuck in Virginia and stuck in my head all my life. I want to go out and meet people.
What's the main message that you want to get across by telling your story today?
There's I call it freedom from the mind because my mind always told me I was worthless, selfless, fat, ugly, dumb. Convict, loser, junkie, and it never told me I was a good guy. It never told me I was beautiful. It never told me I could be strong for someone else. And that's the freedom. I want people to know that that darkness that lived in the mind is bullshit. It's a lie. You are a beautiful, wonderful child of God or whatever you want to be, and go help people. You are free to do whatever you want to see. Whether it may not be helping people, it may be finding that whatever gig you like in life, something that makes you feel whole, and then pursue it to the end. And you just conquer one little thing each day.
That's it.
I can't erase 47 years in 3, but I've erased some of it.
Absolutely. That's what I say too. If you keep getting these little wins,
Yeah.
what's that going to look like in 5 years from now,
Exactly.
10 years from now? They're going to pile up and people are going to be like, wow, man, you've come so far. And it's just the little wins at a time. You know what I mean?
Sometimes a win is just not reacting.
Not going to jail. That's a win for the day. You know, you can't do anything else if you're locked up, you know? So for sure.
All of it's canceled.
For sure. So what about like, if you were able to go to like one of these juvenile detention facilities, man, what are some of the things you would like to say to them, man?
Some of the stuff that we said. I know you think this is cool, and I also believe you don't think there's a way out. Like it's always been. You don't know where I'm from. You don't know what it's like. And I've been in the hoods of D.C. and you see it in those kids' eyes at like 5 years old, like they've seen too much already. But there's plenty of examples out there that if you just take one little step away, if you take one little step away off the curb, in a couple months or a couple years, you're not even in the same city anymore.
Right.
You are worth more than what you're doing.
Absolutely.
You're worth more than sitting in here.
Well, I guess I appreciate you coming up here. And I guess if there was any like last words or something that you wanted to talk about, maybe we didn't get a chance to talk about. And if not that, then just some closing words for the people out there.
Learn to love yourself so you can love others. There's no more greater freedom in this world than caring for someone else.
I like that.
Yeah.
So one more time, tell the people your name and where they can find you as far as the podcast, social media, and everything. I'll link it in the beginning as well, because if you stuck around this long, I appreciate that so much. Hit the like button, comment that you're still here.
Subscribe and comment on my young man's video over here. So man, I'm so bad at this. My memory for this stuff is terrible. I'm Jason Daniel Brewer, Freedom of the Mind, Freedom Forged, on TikTok, YouTube, wherever. And you can check out my podcast.
Absolutely. And you can also check him on other people's podcasts.
Oh, yeah. I was on Matthew Cox Inside True Crime. I'm invited out to Soft White Underbelly. I did Ian Bick, Locked In, and that drops this Wednesday, so in 2 days.
Okay.
And now
he's here with B Luke on the Bounce Back podcast up here in Boston, all the way from Virginia. Hey, I appreciate you coming through. I appreciate you coming through.
He's a fucking rock.
Guys, remember, it is what it is. What's next? That's what you make it. On that note, we out of here. Peace.
Bounce back, ain't got a moment. When they see you down, there's